so welcome to the leaping about in the dark video. Okay, now obviously I'm not in the dark. If I was in the dark, you wouldn't be able to see me. It's easier for me to explain it to you in the light, and then you can have a bit of fun leaping about in the dark at the weekend. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to do things like draw some pretty patterns and stuff like with a torch. All right, that's what we're going to do. If you have got sparklers left over from November, or you may have done this with sparklers, it's the same, but it's with a torch. Okay, now if you have got some sweets like Quality Street roses, that kind of thing, things with the pretty kind of cellophane kind of wrappers, you can keep those and just stick them on the end of a normal torch with an elastic band. All right, that means you can then create different colours and different pictures and stuff like that. So that's a great fun way to do it. You could, if you've got some coloured markers and just some sort of cellophane kind of clear cellophane, you could colour that in and do that kind of thing, just to give yourself a bit of a colour. Okay. Also, the darker it is means less light, it's less bright. It can give you a better effect. All right. But give that a go in terms of the light and the colour. All right. Okay. So to do this kind of thing, ideally you need a camera where you can control the shutter speed. All right. So I'm talking about things like your DSLR, your micro four thirds compact system cameras, bridge cameras. Okay, even some compact cameras you can control the shutter speed. You might find that on the dial you've got S or TV. That means you can change the shutter speed. Okay, on even smaller compact cameras you might not be able to control that, but you might find you have a firework mode. And firework mode will give us the effect that we want. All right. So have a little look at your cameras and see what settings you've got on there and what you might be able to use for this. So if you can control the shutter speed, then you'll look for an S or a TV. TV's on Canon cameras, okay. S is on Nikon and different makes, so it depends on the make of the camera how they label it. Or if it's a little compact camera, then try firework mode. Okay. On phones, it's tricky to do this. My phone is a Samsung. I can control some things on there. Okay. You might find if you've got an Android phone, you have some functions where you can get a slower shutter speed. It might have a firework mode, things like that. So have a little bit of a look. Okay. If you're trying to do stuff like this with your phone, you can't control anything. You need it to be absolutely pitch black. Okay, as dark as you can be. Okay, so you want to go out in the garden at night, or switch all the lights off, close the curtains, that kind of thing, and see what happens. Okay, right. So that brings us to our first problem. Okay, when it is completely dark, your camera will struggle to focus on things. Okay, so when we're focusing the camera, we need to give it a bit of help. And what I will sometimes do, if you've got something to help you, this is where it's easier. You can shine the light, a torch light, on your hand where you're going to be waving it around. Okay, so you just stand still, shine the light, and then get a person to do that for you. Then you can focus the camera. Okay, now what you want to do is you can either use autofocus to focus on that, and then change it over to manual focus. So how you might do that is maybe your camera has a switch on the lens that changes it from autofocus to manual focus. It may be on the back screen. Okay, if you can't, then don't worry too much. Okay, you might have to get somebody else to do the focusing thing. Okay, so you can focus it and then take the picture. Okay, so what you want to be able to do is, as soon as we stop focusing, basically, it's going to be pitch black. Yeah, and the camera isn't going to then be able to refocus, which is why we want to use manual focus if we can. All right. If we can't, it is a little bit more tricky. There are ways around that, and we'll get back to that. Okay. So think about how you're going to focus. If you're doing it on your own, okay, then it might be that you put something where you're going to stand, like a torch on a chair or a stand or something like that. It's something where you're going to be. Okay. Then you can focus on that. Then you can use your 10-second timer to get in position. So you can focus it, hit the button, run around, move the thing out of the way, and you can do your thing. All right. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. But yeah, so think about, if you haven't got anyone to help you, you can use the timer, and then you can do it that way. All right. Right, okay, let's talk about settings then. Okay, so we want the camera shutter to be open long enough for us to draw a picture. Okay, say I want to draw a heart. That takes me about 2 seconds, okay, to do a heart. All right. So we want to set our shutter speed at that. Okay, now on a camera, okay, sometimes when it's a shutter speed will display it like a fraction, like 1/500, 1/250, that kind of thing. If you keep going all the way down, it will start to look like inches, okay? Little speech marks, that kind of symbol, and that means whole seconds. So try starting with 2. So 2 and then whole seconds, a little speech marks, kind of like inches kind of sign, all right? So go for that, okay? Now what we also need to do, okay, is put our exposure compensation down as dark as it will go. So then everything will be black apart from our nice colour. Alright, so set the shutter speed first, okay? If you're on a compact camera with fireworks mode, you won't be able to do anything, just put it onto that. And you might see it displays it as like 2 inches at the bottom of the screen, that kind of thing, 2 whole seconds, alright? So you're going to set it on that, alright? Then you're going to set your exposure compensation if your camera will let you. If you're doing firework mode, it might not let you. Okay, so shutter speed first, exposure compensation right down. If you're in manual mode, okay, you probably want to go ISO 100, set your shutter speed at 2 whole seconds, and then adjust your F number until your pointer is fairly down on the scale. Don't bring it to the middle because it'll be too bright. Put it down so that -2 kind of end on your meter, okay? Not going to get too technical, too bogged down with all of that at the moment, so you might want to just try this on shutter priority mode, but with your exposure compensation turned right down, all right? So give that a go. So that is our shutter speed set, it's our exposure compensation set. Now if you're doing it yourself, you also want to put your timer on, okay, your 10-second timer. So you've got time to get around in front of the camera, and then you can do your drawing, all right? If you've got somebody else to help you, then they can press the button on the camera and you're stood in front waving your torch around, all right? It's quite good fun to do with other people. If you've got people in your household that can join in, it can be quite good fun for that, and great fun with the kids as well, okay? So yes, so you're going to focus the camera on a position, on a particular point where you're going to be, yeah? We've set the camera settings. You're going to hit the button, okay? And you're going to wave the torch around, okay? If you're doing it by yourself, you're going to have a delay, the 10-second delay, so the camera will start flashing at you probably to indicate it's about to take a picture, okay? It might take a few goes to get this right, all right? I'm a bit rubbish at drawing, so it takes a few goes for me to get it right anyway, all right? If there's too much light, okay, then your shutter speed will have to come up a little bit, okay, to let less light in. But if you're doing it in complete darkness, you should be absolutely fine. Now, if you're doing it in complete darkness, you can go for an even longer shutter speed than 2. You can probably go for 4. So if I wanted to write something, and you have to remember you have to write backwards, okay, we want it open for a long enough time for me to write the words, right? I don't know if I could write my name backwards, but you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Or when we did this one winter, sort of like Christmas time, we were trying to draw a Christmas tree. We're trying to draw, different things. If you've got kids and there's more people that can join in, you can give them a torch each of a different colour and they can all have a little bit of a draw, okay? Yeah? But the key is to have the shutter open for a longer time for that, alright? It needs to be completely dark for that to happen, alright? So the thing is, have fun with it, just have a bit of a play, alright? So focusing is an issue, okay, so try and overcome that. So either by focusing it yourself on the timer and then running around, or get someone else to shine a light onto something so you can get the camera to focus, okay? And then set your shutter speed nice and long. Set your exposure compensation down dark, okay, so that everything is black. If you wear a darker top, it works better as well than having writing on there, okay? Because then you just see the picture, you see the heart or the writing, that kind of thing, and you won't see you. So yeah, if you wear something darker, it does work a lot better, all right? So yeah, so that's really all there is to it. Then if you shoot a bit wider, crop it after, okay? So don't worry about getting it perfect, in terms of zooming in and that kind of thing. I would shoot a little bit wider and crop it after. And you can give a little bit of an edit in Snapseed or whatever you use to edit the pictures just to enhance the colours a little bit. But yeah, that's sleeping about in the dark with a torch, okay? Have fun with it. You can do it with other lights and stuff like that. On these slow shutter speed kind of things. It's just the same with car tail lights and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so once you've got the hang of setting your shutter speed and turning exposure down, then you can do all sorts of different things really. But have fun with it. I look forward to seeing your pictures. I'll pop a post on the Facebook page so you can add your pictures on there if you want to.